I'm back. This is week 2 of getting off the couch, small steps to fitness, weight loss made easy. And today we're going to talk about nutrition. Okay, so last week I mentioned that the system that we're going to use is the MyPlate. And we're going to take your plate of food and divide it into quarters. Okay, the protein is going to be about the size of your palm, and that it can be any type of fish, beef, chicken, pork. If you're vegetarian, you can use vegetarian protein such as tempeh, or you can also eat lentils and beans, and that's going to be protein and carbohydrates, so that's going to take up a little more space on your plate. The carb is going to be a potato, sweet potato, rice, could be quinoa, could be pasta, any type of starchy carb, and that's also going to be a quarter of the plate, which is also going to be about the size of your palm. The rest of the plate is going to be veggies, vegetables, or salad. Okay, so for example, that's going to be chicken, rice, and asparagus, salmon, sweet potato, broccoli, steak, baked potato salad. These are basically your trainer meals, and they're very easy to pre-pack, pretty easy to plan. You can cook in advance. You can use a crock pot, throw a bunch of stuff in, come home, it'll be ready for dinner, and then take leftovers for lunch. Let's talk about breakfast. For breakfast, you can do omelets. You can do breakfast sandwiches, though your quarter of a plate of carb is only going to really allow you to use the thin slices of bread, or you could use a wrap or a tortilla. You could also go with like full fat yogurt with nuts and berries. Some people do make smoothies. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the different protein powders, but smoothies are a possibility. Okay, let's talk about fat. This program has no fake fat, so we're not going to eat vegetable oil or corn oil or canola oil. These are really industrial fats. These are really not made from vegetables, and you can't squeeze corn and make corn oil. So these are highly processed, and we have found that they cause inflammation in the body. So that's why they're not going to be included. Which olive oil? Okay, olive oil. This is one that we use. This is from the health food store, and this is one you can find right at the grocery store. I don't recommend buying the plastic bottles of the cheaper olive oil, or even colored bottles of cheaper olive oil. You really have to Google your olive oil and make sure it's really 100%, because a lot of olive oils are cut with canola oil or other soybean or linseed oil, which is from flax, but they are not 100%. There's a loophole in the law where they're allowed to cut the oils, and because they do cause inflammation, that's not going to be helpful to you if you're trying to lose weight. And let me go into a deeper dive about fat in general. We used to think that if you eat fat, you get fat. But now we know that fat actually does not raise your blood sugar when you eat it, where it's really your carbohydrates and your sugars that raise your blood sugar. So anytime you have more than about 1.5 teaspoons of sugar in, say, a drink, your blood sugar is going to go up. Your body is going to try to bring that down by producing insulin, getting that out of the blood, and it ends up converting it into triglycerides and then storing those in your fat cells. So anytime you drink a sugary, say you have a soda, which has 13 teaspoons of sugar, that's going to very dramatically raise your blood sugar, and that's all going to have to be then stored as fat on your body or in your liver. Thus the rise in both obesity and fatty liver disease in the United States. We're drinking a lot of sugary drinks. And also when you eat breads and other simple carbohydrates, I believe even complex carbohydrates as well, they're broken down into sugars in your digestion process, and then they also raise the blood sugar. They might do it a little more slowly, but they still produce the same response where you have to produce insulin to get that out of your blood to be in a better blood sugar level, and those again will be stored as fat. So that's why this program is restricted to really a quarter of a plate being the carbohydrates. So to people that eat a very low carb diet, they may think that's a lot of carbs, but for the average American, that's a big reduction in carbohydrates. And eating the small amount of carbs in conjunction with the protein and the fats and the vegetables, it should allow for a pretty, for you to be satiated, not to be hungry, and to keep your blood sugar really pretty level until the next meal. So we're going to try to do 3 meals a day, but I do encourage you to bring snacks in case you get hungry before that meal, especially at the beginning, because if you have a snack that holds you over to your next meal, you're less likely to kind of go off the rails and eat the donuts that somebody brought into the office, or some cookies or candy that might be available where you work. So I am going to encourage healthy snacks, and that would be, you could bring some almonds. Nuts are always a good choice to bring along. You could bring along some meat and cheese, hard-boiled eggs, and in fruit with nut butter is okay, like apple slices with peanut butter is okay. Those would all make good snacks. Okay, other healthy fats. Butter, meat, it's okay to have bacon on this program. Avocado oil, fish like wild salmon and sardines give you some good fats, and pastured eggs. What to drink? Okay, obviously water with meals if you can. Coffee is great in the morning for most of us. You can try, I would recommend trying a lot of different kinds of tea. If you're used to drinking sweetened drinks, you could do different fruit iced teas, or seltzer, and you could obviously add a little bit of lemon or lime to those. If you're really used to sweet drinks, I would suggest you could try the stevia drops. Those are probably the least damaging sweetener you could use. There's also other sweeteners that people are using right now are Swerve, erythritol, and xylitol. The xylitol, however, is poisonous to dogs, so you want to be really careful with that. How about birthdays? What do you do for birthdays? Okay, so eat your healthy meal, and then if you want to have a dessert or something, have a small piece. The difference between the low-calorie diet advice is they have you skip your meal and, you know, just eat the junk food, and then you really get out of balance doing that. Your blood sugar goes up and down, and you're much more likely to go completely off the rails. So try to get those at least 3 healthy meals in every day. Bring some healthy snacks with you. And then if you eat something that's not on the plan, just keep going. Get back on the horse. Okay? And this plan is not going to have anything that's artificially flavored or colored. As you get used to real food, you'll start to really taste the difference if you're used to putting some kind of international flavor thing in your coffee. I actually put heavy cream in my coffee. It's lower in carbohydrates. I get the Organic Valley, so it doesn't have the strange sounding preservatives. And as I said, with the healthy fats, you know, they're really needed by our bodies for our hormones, for our moods. Eating whole fat and real food is going to just keep your moods a lot more level than when we used to tell people to do the 6 meals a day. That was because they were too high in carbohydrates and our blood sugar was going up and down and up and down. So this is going to keep you full for a longer time and really nourish your body. That's the whole point of this. I have a couple different books if you want some references. I like this book, Genius Foods by Max Lugavere, and he really talks about how food quality can help stave off dementia and other diseases. So that's a good reference. If you have vegetarians in your family, I just purchased this because one of my kids is vegetarian and trying to eat healthier, so I got that for him. I haven't read it yet, but it looks pretty good. And this one, Eat Rich, Live Long, this gives a really deep dive into that science and how, you know, what we used to believe about eating fat was mistaken. So that's all I have for today. Next week we will do the strength training program, which, as I showed you last week, is just with very light weights. We're going to get started on a full body program, but it's only going to take about 10 minutes. I will show you that next week. And I want you to maybe consider adding some crunches this week too. You're still doing the overhead presses and the squats. So if you want to add a couple of crunches, that'll just give you a few more muscles that you're working this week, and you'll be all prepared to next week start a very easy strength training program. So have a great week. See you next week.